Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to share something that completely shifts the foundation of what many of us have believed about fitness, protein intake, fasting, and even the way we train our bodies. You see, for years we've been told by experts that to build muscle and stay lean, we must consume maximum protein, train until absolute failure, and never skip meals. But recently, one of the world's leading exercise scientists, someone who built his entire career around these principles, has openly admitted that he was wrong, and not just slightly wrong, but fundamentally mistaken in ways that changed how he views the human body, metabolism, and longevity. When I first heard his confession, I felt something stir deeply within me, because what he revealed aligns with what I have seen for years in real-world results, not just in theory or lab numbers. He said that chasing maximum protein was one of the biggest mistakes in modern nutrition. Imagine that. Decades of research, endless supplements, protein shakes, and diet plans all focused on hitting the highest numbers possible. But now, this scientist realized that the human body doesn't thrive on excess, it thrives on balance. He found that when people consume more protein than their body can use, they don't get stronger, they actually accelerate aging, strain their kidneys, and disrupt their metabolic flexibility. The truth is, our body only needs a threshold of amino acids to trigger muscle protein synthesis, and beyond that, the extra grams are simply converted into glucose or stored as fat. That's not what anyone who's been living in the gym wants to hear, but it's the truth. He explained that he once believed more protein meant more progress, but as he aged, he began to notice fatigue, digestive stress, and a strange loss of energy despite eating perfectly. When he experimented by lowering his protein intake, focusing on nutrient timing and fasting, something remarkable happened. His inflammation markers dropped, his recovery improved, and his strength increased even though he was eating less. It was then he realized that it's not about how much you eat, but how your body uses what you eat. Metabolic flexibility, not constant feeding, was the key to real vitality. Now let's talk about fasting, because this was another paradigm shift for him. He had once considered fasting a dangerous or unnecessary trend, convinced that skipping meals would destroy muscle and slow metabolism. But as he dove deeper into cellular biology and longevity research, he discovered the opposite. During fasting, the body doesn't simply shut down. It activates one of the most powerful healing processes known as autophagy. Autophagy is the body's natural recycling system, breaking down damaged cells and proteins to build new, stronger ones. It's like spring cleaning for your cells, and this, he realized, was the missing link between short-term fitness and long-term health. He began experimenting with intermittent fasting himself. At first, it was difficult. He was used to constant feeding and pre-workout meals. But within weeks, his body adapted beautifully. He became sharper, more focused, and his workouts improved dramatically. The data confirmed it. Fasting enhanced his insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation, and increased mitochondrial efficiency, the very engine of cellular energy. He was stunned to find that fasting didn't reduce his muscle, it refined it. It made his body more efficient, leaner, and biologically younger. And suddenly, all those old fears about losing gains disappeared. He began to see fasting not as deprivation, but as discipline, as harmony between body and mind. Then came the hardest confession of all: training to failure. For decades, he had preached that pushing your muscles until they couldn't move another inch was the only path to growth. But he learned the truth the hard way, through injury, burnout, and stagnation. The body, he discovered, grows not from destruction, but from intelligent stress followed by complete recovery. When we train to failure repeatedly, we trigger too much cortisol, the stress hormone, which interferes with muscle repair and suppresses growth hormones. Instead of getting stronger, we stay inflamed, sore, and exhausted. So he shifted his entire training philosophy. Instead of going to failure, he now trains with purpose, focusing on form, tempo, and connection. He calls it stimulate, don't annihilate, because real progress comes from consistency, not chaos. What inspired me most about his transformation was his humility. Imagine being one of the most respected scientists in your field and admitting that your previous teachings were incomplete. That takes courage. But his openness has inspired a new generation of trainers, athletes, and health experts to look deeper, to question everything we assume about the body. And I want you to think about this in your own life. How many beliefs have you been holding onto just because an expert said so? Maybe you've been chasing protein numbers like a math equation, eating every few hours, or pushing yourself to exhaustion in the gym, thinking that's what progress feels like. But maybe, just maybe, your body has been asking you for a different approach, one of balance, rhythm, and self-awareness. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is, the body is not a machine to be forced. It is an intelligent organism to be understood. And when we give it space to rest, when we stop feeding it constantly, when we train it with intention instead of punishment, it begins to perform at its best. This scientist's change of heart is not just about protein or fasting. It's about respect. Respect for biology, for recovery, for the innate wisdom of our cells. The more we align with that wisdom, the more energy, strength, and youth we gain. He now teaches that fasting is not starvation. It's synchronization. It's a rhythm that teaches your body when to use energy and when to restore it. He no longer eats 5 or 6 times a day. Instead, he eats 2 nutrient-dense meals, rich in quality protein, fats, and fibers, timed perfectly after his workouts to maximize repair. He trains less frequently but with greater intensity and focus, leaving the gym energized instead of depleted. And the results? His blood work shows lower inflammation, higher testosterone, improved insulin sensitivity, and a leaner body composition at an older age than when he started. I've watched this journey unfold with fascination and gratitude because it validates what I've always believed: more is not better. Better is better. Our culture glorifies extremes, but biology rewards balance. And this is the essence of his transformation. It's not just a scientific revelation, it's a spiritual one. It reminds us that our body's wisdom is far greater than our ego's desire to control it. When we stop forcing and start listening, everything changes. Ladies and gentlemen, in the previous chapter, we explored how one of the top exercise scientists completely transformed his understanding of protein, fasting, and training. But today, I want to take you even deeper into the mindset behind that transformation. Because it's not just about the food we eat or the weights we lift. It's about how we think, how we recover, and how we connect with our own biology. The truth is, science can evolve, but wisdom is timeless. And when a brilliant mind humbly admits that decades of rigid beliefs were wrong, it teaches us a powerful lesson about growth. Not just physical growth, but human growth. He began his second phase of research not in a laboratory filled with data, but in silence. Yes, silence. He said that for the first time in his career, he stopped measuring everything, stopped counting every macro, and started listening to his body, to his energy, to his mood. And what he discovered was astonishing. He realized that the most advanced science in the world still can't replace the intuition of a body that's aligned with nature. He started to notice patterns. When he slept better, his fasting periods felt effortless. When he trained with purpose instead of pressure, his strength increased. When he practiced gratitude before meals, digestion improved. None of this could be explained by numbers alone. It was a harmony of body and mind. He once believed that success in health was about control. Controlling calories, controlling routines, controlling every outcome. But now, he understood that control without connection is chaos. The human body does not respond to obsession, it responds to care. And that's the heart of his discovery. When he replaced constant control with conscious awareness, his health began to soar. His morning energy became more stable, his thoughts clearer, his emotions calmer. He no longer felt like a prisoner of his routines. He became the master of them. What truly fascinated me about his evolution was his openness to ancient wisdom. For years, he had dismissed traditional practices like mindful eating, fasting rituals, and breathwork as unscientific. But when modern research began to confirm their biological benefits, improved autophagy, reduced oxidative stress, stabilized hormones, he couldn't ignore it anymore. He said something that stayed with me. Sometimes, science catches up to what wisdom already knew. That statement changed everything. It made him reframe his entire career, not as a pursuit of novelty, but as a return to balance. He realized that the human body was designed to thrive on cycles of eating and resting, of work and recovery, of tension and release. The more we honor those cycles, the healthier and more resilient we become. Ladies and gentlemen, one of his most profound realizations was about recovery. He said, "We've made rest look like weakness, but it's the foundation of strength." He had pushed his body to the edge for decades, chasing perfection, only to find that true progress happened during stillness. The body doesn't grow when we train. It grows when we rest from training. Muscles don't rebuild during effort. They rebuild during recovery. And yet, we live in a world that glorifies exhaustion. He began to see how this mindset of always more had poisoned not just fitness, but life itself. So, he reversed his schedule. He gave rest equal importance as effort, and for the first time he felt stronger, sharper, and happier than ever before. This shift also changed the way he viewed fasting. Before, fasting was a test of willpower. Now it became a dialogue with his body. He learned to recognize signals, not cravings but communication. The body wasn't begging for constant food, it was asking for balance. During fasting, his focus improved, his creativity flourished, and his spiritual awareness deepened. He realized that fasting was never about starving the body. It was about feeding the spirit. It gave him time to reflect, to reset, to reconnect with himself. He said that when he stopped eating for comfort, he began to feed on clarity. And that, to me, is one of the most powerful things I've ever heard. He also changed his view on aging. For years, he believed that aging was an inevitable decline, a slow surrender of energy and strength. But now he sees it as a state of imbalance, not inevitability. By applying fasting, moderate protein intake, intelligent training, and mindful recovery, he has biologically reversed his markers of aging. His blood sugar is lower, his inflammation reduced, his mitochondria younger. He said, "We don't stop moving because we age. We age because we stop moving with purpose." And that's a profound distinction. Aging is not the enemy, stagnation is. When we move intentionally, eat intelligently, and rest consciously, we give our body permission to heal itself. That's not magic, that's biology done right. He now lives by 3 rules that I believe we all can learn from. First, he says, train your body to listen, not to obey. This means respecting fatigue, honoring hunger, and trusting the rhythms of your energy. Second, eat less often but more meaningfully. Instead of mindless snacking or emotional eating, he eats like it's a ritual, grateful, aware, present. And third, never let ambition destroy alignment. In other words, don't chase progress so hard that you forget peace, because health without peace is still sickness in disguise. And that's where true mastery lies, not in how much we can endure, but in how deeply we can align. As he continues to share his findings, thousands of people are transforming their lives. Athletes are training smarter, not harder. Busy professionals are fasting not out of guilt, but out of wisdom. Older adults are discovering energy they thought they lost forever. His message is simple yet revolutionary. The body is not broken, it's simply out of rhythm. And when we restore that rhythm through mindful living, everything else falls into place. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to reflect on something deeply today. How many times have you forced your body when it was asking for rest? How many times have you fed it when it was asking for a break? How many times have you confused fatigue with failure? It's time to relearn what true health means. The most advanced nutrition plan, the most powerful supplement, the most intense workout, they mean nothing without alignment. Because alignment is where healing happens. This is what this scientist learned after decades of study and mistakes. And it's what you and I can learn right now, without waiting for burnout, without waiting for pain. So when you finish this message today, don't just remember the science, feel the truth. Health is harmony. Strength is balance. Longevity is rhythm. You don't need to fight your body into submission. You need to lead it into cooperation. When you eat, eat with presence. When you fast, do it with peace. When you train, do it with purpose. And when you rest, do it without guilt. Because this is not just about building muscle or losing fat. It's about building a life that supports you, not drains you. That's the essence of what this top scientist finally understood, and it's what I want for you too. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of health isn't found in another supplement or a stricter routine. It's found in understanding your body's ancient wisdom. When science and simplicity meet, when effort and ease merge, when awareness replaces obsession, that's when we reach true vitality. And I promise you, when you honor that balance, when you treat your body like the sacred gift it is, you won't just live longer. You'll live better. That, my friends, is the evolution of health.